I travel quite a lot, not during the pandemic, but now it's starting again. It's a long story. To cut it short, there was a preparatory meeting where they discussed what to do about electrical insulation in the US. This was held in 1917. It was a small group of people. Already at this time it was suggested to make this meeting not only on electrical insulation but also on dielectric phenomena. But this was dropped and only reinstalled in the 1960s. Since then it's called a Conference on Electrical Insulation and Dielectric Phenomena. Before it was just Conference on Electrical Insulation, and the first real meeting was in 1920 in the offices of Director of Western Electric Research and Technology, Lower West Side in Manhattan, and that was Frank Jewett, a physicist who later became founding president of Bell Labs. And that's where it started. 20 September 1920, the first meeting was held. I think a conference cannot really contribute to research and technology directly, but it can provide a framework, or I would like to use an analogy like when you grow plants, you need a greenhouse or some proper plot which you tend to, and the conference is something like a greenhouse for the growth of the field. The people have to grow. Whether the conference grows or not is not really important. It's important that the people who attend the conference get together and grow together and have benefits from synergy, from knowing each other. I would say be courageous to play. Recently, when I gave a lecture at a conference, I said to everybody, we have to be like children. We have to be curiosity driven. We have to be open for new things. And then we find the best way to go forward. So we are always learning like children. And we should always be open, also like children, never take anything for granted. But in addition, I think that's another component that children need. Children need to trust, otherwise they lose the interest in things. They need someone to trust, and that's the same in our endeavor to be scientists and engineers. We need to trust each other, and therefore I would encourage everybody to really put a lot of emphasis on trusting each other. If you cannot trust your peers, if you cannot trust your students, if you cannot trust your mentors, your professors, it will not work. So that's the most important thing. And if you have the feeling the situation is not one of mutual trust and understanding, get out, look for something else. I think electrical insulation is still a very important field because energy is of tremendous concern worldwide, especially green energy, and electricity is a very good solution, and this needs electrical insulation. But nevertheless, in electrical insulation there are not so many pressing problems from the science behind it. There are still things that need to be researched, nanodielectrics, geometrical structures of insulators. I think that has not been investigated enough. But this is usually not attracting young people so easily, because young people want to discover something, like children, as I said, and so they need something that stimulates their fantasy, their creativity. And for this, I think it's better to also look into new directions. And we will have some perspectives lectures on the second to last day of the conference. And there we will explore, for example, soft robotics, silicone-based sensors and actuators, something called artificial muscles, and also the use of electrical technologies for transportation, which was also a workshop at the beginning of the conference. These are just a few examples. We need in the future more new fields that we try to bring into the CIDP so that it has a future, because the conference has always to try to diversify, because shrinking and focusing is happening automatically, but you have to broaden and diversify constantly to keep it living, like a living organism. That's important. That's a very good point, because I believe if you have no past, then you also don't have a future. And therefore, I think we should look more into the past and try to learn from it. And this is why DIS has just set up a history committee. And I have the honor of chairing this. And I'm right now assembling a small group of people from all over the world. And we will try to have history projects, and like we described now, the history of the Whitehead lectures at this conference. I did already a history of the Electret Symposia, which are over 50 years old now. And I think we should do the same thing also for the other conferences. And for the CIDP, we can expand this, because the Whitehead lecturers are just, we could say, the cream on top. Maybe we have to look also into the groundwork that's essential for this. You cannot only have cream. Now, I think we should stress from a psychological point of view, you can say there is extrinsic motivation and intrinsic motivation. And nowadays, with all the MBAs and so on, everybody thinks if you offer people some money, then they will do something and they will be motivated. But then if another guy comes and offers more money, they will quickly change. So that's not really going to work in science and technology. I think you need intrinsic motivation. And that means providing good conditions for people to grow, and provide good conditions for people to learn and develop like children and to be curious. That's important. And I think if you come into an environment where this is not given, then it's probably the wrong environment for people to develop.